wanna be down with the king.
It's the Sports Kings. Sports Kings. Big Mike.
He might fall off the wagon in the next 10 minutes.
And Rob Calloway.
It's about bringing talent. It's not about all the flash and glitz and glam.
Not your average sports talk show. The Sports Kings.
This is NFL legend, Work Done.
This your boy D. Howard, a.k.a. Superman.
I'm Jerome Bettis, the bus.
It's Cam Newton. Holla at your boy, already.
This is Hank Aaron, and I'm down with the King.
Tell a friend, Kings is back.
This is the Sports Kings podcast being heard via Spreaker.com. Rob Calloway flying solo tonight. Big Mike in the dark because it is a rainy night in Georgia. For those of you in the south, southwest, southeast, you all know we've been getting some torrential downpours as of late. So I just want to send prayers out to all the folks out in Houston. I got a couple former schoolmates, actually my college roommate and his family live out in the Houston area. They just moved out there, and I talked to him today, and they've been underwater. So this has just been crazy these past few days, and today here in Georgia, it's been coming down like cats and dogs, especially here this evening. But nonetheless, going to keep the show moving right along. Don't forget, when we're not here, we're there. There is Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Sports Kings Live. You can also hit us up via email at sportskingslive@gmail.com. And usually the show is live and we're interactive doing the chat room thing. But tonight's show is going to be less interactive as I try to get through this thing solo. But coming up in tonight's show, we will be joined by a special guest, and I'll let you know who that is coming up momentarily. Now, since we last joined you, a lot of things have happened in the world of the NBA because that's what we're going to focus on today. A lot of, other things happening in the sports world, but we're going to focus on the NBA playoffs because it has been a few days, as I mentioned, since we last joined you. We had the Atlanta Hawks going down 3-0 to the Cleveland Cavaliers Sunday night in a game that a lot of Hawks fans will remember forever. And I do mean forever, for several reasons. And so we'll talk about that coming up in just a few minutes. And then last night, we had the Houston Rockets avoiding elimination with their 128-115 Game 4 win in Houston over the Golden State Warriors, a game that James Harden came out and, lit them up, 45 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. And the guy that I think has been very instrumental in this whole Houston Rockets playoff run, Josh Smith, who gets some credit, but not enough credit, in my opinion. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. A scary moment last night for the Golden State Warriors as Steph Curry took a nasty fall as he went up to block a Trevor Ariza shot and kind of got tied up with Ariza at the top of his jump and ended up falling on his neck, back, and his head. And a lot of folks thought he might have been done for the night, if not done for the series, because it looked like a severe injury, at least a concussion, and he missed about 12 minutes of action, came back, and, as a guy that is all into this concussion protocol, I was kind of watching Steph, seeing, if I saw any of the symptoms, and his first shot was an air ball, and everybody kind of, gasp at that, but he ended up finishing the game pretty strong. The post-game press conference, he seemed to have all his faculties, and so I'm sure the Golden State Warriors are going to continue to monitor that because, as we've talked about on this show, like concussion symptoms might not appear for maybe 10, 12, 24 hours, and so I know that they're definitely going to continue to watch Steph Curry. But how about the Houston Rockets? Now, I'm not one of these people that are saying that, oh my God, Houston is going to be the first team to come back from a 3-0 deficit, and they're going to come back and they're going to shock the world. No, because I don't think these Golden State Warriors are the LA Clippers. Now, we did see the Houston Rockets down 3-1, mount a historical comeback, if you will. But this Golden State Warriors team, in my opinion, is a different animal. And, I just don't see Steve Kerr and the Splash Brothers and Draymond and all those guys on that team as a collective unit allowing the Houston Rockets to come back and win 4 straight games. That would just be unbelievable, if you ask me. But still, you have to tip your hats to the Houston Rockets. They came out in a must-win situation, and their superstar, James Harden, did just that. I mean, it's one of those things where, you don't, well, first of all, you don't want to get eliminated. I mean, because you've made it this far and you think you could make it a step further, which would be the NBA Finals. But it's one of those things where you don't want to lose at home. I mean, you might know that, the historical numbers down 3-0 means that, if you look at the stats and like I said, the historical numbers, nobody comes back from a 3-0 deficit in the Eastern or Western Conference Finals. And so, you don't want to lose in Houston. And again, I think that that the Rockets answered the clarion call, if you will, from Coach Kevin McHale, who, if you go back to that Game 3, oh my God, that game, what a heartbreaker that Game 3 was, right? You got to win a game. You got to, you're hanging your hat, on this Houston team, and you've got Josh Smith playing, at a great level right now. You got James Harden playing really well. Then you got Dwight Howard, who, oh my God, and we're going to talk about this whole Tech 1, Tech 2 thing coming up here in the show. But last night we saw Dwight Howard after several other fouls in these conference finals. We see Dwight Howard, lay a shot on Andrew Bogut, and, he wasn't kicked out the game, but they're saying that they're looking at it and he might actually be suspended for the Game 5. And it was similar to what we saw from J.R. Smith with the Jay Crowder out in Boston, where, he backhanded Jay Crowder and Crowder fell out. And, well, somebody said he was knocked out, but I don't think he was knocked out. But anyway, J.R. Smith ended up missing 2 games to start that Chicago Bulls series. And so Dwight Howard now looking at a situation where he could possibly be suspended if the foul is upgraded. And so we're going to keep our eyes on that and see exactly what plays out with that. But, of course, Sunday we saw a situation with the Atlanta Hawks when they were taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and what I think was the best game, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think this was the best game that I've seen out of the Atlanta Hawks, not only this playoffs, but maybe the entire season. And they got it done without Kyle Korver, or almost got it done without Kyle Korver and Al Horford. Now, the thing that everybody was talking about from Game 3 with this Atlanta Hawks game was Al Horford and Matthew Dellavedova kind of got tangled up, if you will. And in my opinion, it looked like Al Horford might have had Dellavedova hooked. And I'm not sure if it was on purpose or if it was just, in the spirit of competition. But Dellavedova kind of fell back on Al's knee. Al, both of them fell to the ground, and Al delivered the bionic elbow, if you will, to Matthew Dellavedova. And because it was deemed a blow above the neck, the refs issued a Tech 2 and kicked Al Horford out of the game. But the Dwight Howard play I'm talking about from last night, Dwight didn't get kicked out. So it's a lot of folks, a lot of NBA fans, a lot of folks, the national media, a lot of folks right here in Atlanta grumbling, especially after the Dwight Howard play. I mean, as if they weren't already complaining enough following Sunday's Game 3 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, in which Al Horford was suspended, but he'll be back for tonight's game. And it's kind of weird because we're not getting a clear and concise officiating, if you ask me right now. We're not getting that because, as I mentioned, we saw the J.R. Smith situation and how that played out with a 2-game suspension. Then we saw how the Al Horford thing played out Sunday, in which Al Horford was kicked out of the game, but he's coming back tonight. But it was a blow above the neck or above the shoulders. Similar, not the same as JR, but it was above the neck. And then you have Dwight Howard, who didn't get kicked out last night, but he's now facing suspension for Game 5. And so, I can see where a lot of folks are kind of concerned and griping about the officiating and, the officials not being consistent. I get it. But In the case with the Atlanta Hawks, here's the deal. Everybody has been complaining this entire series about the referees. I mean, game 1, everybody in Atlanta was grumbling. Game 2, everybody was grumbling. Game 3, everybody was grumbling. But here's my thing. The Hawks have made some boneheaded decisions in this series. They got away from, moving the ball around, looking for the open man, making the extra pass. We've talked about it right here on this show. They started going more ISO, taking more time off the clock, going one-on-one. Not Atlanta Hawks basketball. They've been playing right into the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers with that. And this is the Sports Kings podcast. Rob Calloway flying solo tonight. Don't forget, when we're not here, we're there. There is Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Sports Kings Live. We're also available via email at sportskingslive@gmail.com. And coming up in the next few minutes, we will be joined by Michael Collins of fansided.com. He has an article that he wrote today. Hawks Cavaliers NBA playoff series needs to go 5 games for just one reason. And we're going to talk to him coming up in a few minutes about what is that one reason? Why? Is it to lose at home in front of the home crowd? Why? What is the one reason? I don't, we'll talk about it coming up. I know what the one reason is, and I'm going to let him expand on that when he joins the show coming up in just a few minutes. But going back to this game 3, Jeff Teague played a beautiful game, in my opinion. 30 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Here's a guy that, this is Jeff Teague's biggest moment. Well, this is the Atlanta Hawks' biggest moment. And Jeff Teague has stepped up in this series and has played some phenomenal basketball. Phenomenal basketball. He looks like the only all-star. Out of the 4 all-stars that the Hawks had, he looks like the only all-star on the team. Well, Kyle Korver's down. Al's having some issues. And Paul Millsap. That's a whole nother story. I mean, Paul Millsap, I'm not going to take anything away from Paul Millsap. I mean, he's playing Paul Millsap basketball, whatever that is. But look, the Hawks have not played good basketball in this series. Bottom line, we've seen great moments, or good moments, glimpses of the team that was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the regular season champs, if you will. We've seen glimpses, but it hasn't been what I call 2014, 2015 Atlanta Hawks basketball. It just hasn't been. And I get it. You're down, you're without Kyle Korver now, you're a sharpshooter who's been cold, ice cold. Then as I mentioned, Al Horford gets suspended, gets ejected from game 3, so you're without him for the second half. But if you ask me, I don't think the Hawks win this game if Al Horford is playing. Now, he played good basketball in the first half, but that doesn't mean he was going to play good basketball in the second half. I think we saw a heroic effort, out of guys like Kent Bazemore, who gave the Hawks 14 points and 7 rebounds and 3 assists. He played his heart out in game 3 Sunday. We saw DeMarre Carroll, and we know that he's been hobbled. 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Shelvin Mack coming off the bench. Where's Shelvin Mack been this whole series? 13 points. Hit some big threes in game 3. Glad Coach Bud, what the whole thing is, these injuries and Al kind of forced Coach Bud to go away from this limited rotation. And now he's starting to have to play the guys that helped the Hawks win 60 games this season. Now, Mike Scott, on the other hand, I've been on this podcast. Oh, where's Mike Scott? Oh, where's Mike Scott? Okay. Well, game 3, there was a situation where Iman Shumpert and DeMarre Carroll were both going for the rebound. DeMarre Carroll hit the ball towards a wide open Mike Scott, who was standing near the Hawks bench, right by the 3-point line, and he looks at the ball and he lets it bounce right out of bounds right in front of him, thinking that Iman Shumpert hit the ball. Now, it was a bang-bang play, but at the same time, it's playoff basketball, and if the ball is coming towards you, you just gotta get it. You got to grab it. And, that was in